In no way was Charles Oliveira supposed to do that to Max Holloway. Even James Lynch and myself said Oliveira's path to victory was hard, nearly impossible even. I actually think the path to victory here, Oliveira is a smart, striking approach.
I actually agree with you. And maybe you land that shot and you hurt Holloway a bit and then you take him down while he's a bit dazed. Or
instead, it was Charles Oliveira implementing his will and daring Max Holloway to stop what he was always going to do. The exact opposite of how Holloway fights normally play out. Now Charles Oliveira has these massive things lined up. Conor McGregor, Benoit Saint-Denis, Paddy Pimblett, maybe even a rematch with Ilia Topuria one day. One thing is for certain, this Charles Oliveira is a force to be reckoned with, and anyone, I mean anyone, should be nervous by the Brazilian illuminated by God. Before we talk about what comes next for Charles Oliveira, we need to talk about how we got here by dominating Max Holloway. What stood out to me most about Charles Oliveira's win over Max Holloway was the body lock, okay? So Charles Oliveira, yes, let's leave it up here for a second. That was a boring fight. And it was boring because at the end of like the thread that we do on Substack, at the very end of it, I was like, wash, rinse, repeat, same thing. And it felt like I was saying the same thing over and over again. Max Holloway could not stop the body locks of Charles Oliveira. That's where he managed to do his best work. It wasn't on the ground, on Max Holloway's back. No, that's where Holloway did his best work. What Oliveira did perfectly was pressure Max Holloway, force him to make a slight mistake, and capitalize on that mistake 5 times. That's all it took, 5 times, and that led to 20 minutes and almost 21 minutes of control time for Charles Oliveira. That was enough to decry, or not decry, but to make Charles Oliveira the new BMF. As much as everybody wants to hate that BMF performance, that's what that was. Yeah, Charles Oliveira, man, the body lock takedowns where he got to the fence, the very first one kind of stood out to me. See, Max Holloway is this volume puncher. He's going to circle out. He's going to back up, sure. But what he's going to do that's great is, move laterally. Charles Oliveira didn't give him time to move laterally. No, Charles starts rushing him to the fence. He starts really kind of feinting a lot, just kind of overload. Boom, boom, punch, punch, boom, 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 punch. And it was multiple strikes thrown before he shot in on the legs of Max Holloway. He gets to the body lock, or he gets a leg, or whatever, however he wants to take him down, and he stands straight up and really forces Max Holloway to work against the cage. Now, a lot of people are decrying Max Holloway's takedown defense for this fight. They're saying, oh, Holloway was never good at fighting a wrestler. I don't think it was that. I think this version of Charles Oliveira is one that learned from his mistakes over Ilia Topuria. Oliveira does this all the time. He lost to Topuria, he lost to Islam, same way. Unable to execute. The inability to execute is really what takes Charles Oliveira over to the next level. His body lock takedowns really started to just wear on Holloway. And you could see by round 4 and 5, Holloway in the corner kind of like, struggling. He's not quite, gassed or anything like that. No, Max Holloway's cardio is way better than that. But you could see Holloway kind of drowning. Kind of like Dustin Poirier felt like he was drowning against Khabib. Remember, Dustin Poirier kind of goes into the corner after that Khabib fight. I'm drowning. I can't keep him off of me. That's what the look Holloway gave me. And it's been a great run at lightweight for Max Holloway. But like Charles Oliveira, man, he just really put it on Holloway. And sure, he didn't get the submission. And sure, as the fight went on, he kind of coasted on his takedowns. He didn't quite hunt the submissions like he should have, maybe. But Oliveira's dominance in this fight really made a Max Holloway fight boring, which is crazy because like the Volkanovski fight's the only other time we've seen him get beat up like this. Like Alexander Volkanovski beat the snot out of him, had him bloodied up and bruised up. This was something different. This was Charles Oliveira breaking his will to live. And that's exactly what Charles Oliveira did. He broke his will. He broke him down systematically, got to the ground, started hunting takedowns. There was a point to where Max Holloway ended up on top, and Oliveira reaches through the bottom, grabs the leg. I don't know what the guard's called, and the jiu-jitsu guys will tell me, sure. But he grabs the leg and starts to really kind of turn him over. He looks for William and open up grappling, pointing out the Ezekiel from the back he was trying to do. Like, there were so many different techniques. And Oliveira looked fantastic. But all of these techniques, Max Holloway did one thing well, especially early on when he was dry and he was taken down. That was survive, right? Mateusz Gamrot, the ADCC medalist, couldn't survive against Charles Oliveira. Arman Tsarukyan could. Islam, really didn't give him a chance. There's a lot of fighters, though, that couldn't survive. A lot of really good fighters that could not survive against Charles Oliveira on the ground. Max Holloway did. We've never seen anybody really kind of give Oliveira that kind of problem, Maybe you could say maybe Michael Chandler, but even then, Chandler was kind of like, striking with him. It wasn't exactly this, Dariush got knocked out in the first. I'm looking at the record now. Gaethje knocked out in the first. Poirier kind of couldn't handle it. Chandler, Ferguson, maybe, Ferguson's great, but this just shows you just how good Max Holloway's defensive grappling is. Takedown defense, not so good. But it takes a special fighter like a Charles Oliveira or a Khabib Nurmagomedov or an Islam Makhachev to dominate Max Holloway. There's not many who's going to be able to do that. Ilia won't be able to do that against Holloway. Arman can, and Oliveira can. That's really it. Maybe you could maybe make an argument for Benoit Saint-Denis, but the defense of him was great. Now Oliveira's fights are lined up beautifully. He has plenty of options. I don't think Ilia Topuria is the fight next. We got the White House announcement, and they talked about Justin Gaethje versus Ilia. That's obviously the right fight because Gaethje won the interim title. If you're going to put an interim title on the line, don't hold it up, and make them defend. No. If you're going to put an interim title on the line, unify. Very next fight. So that's what Topuria is going to do. He's going to unify. I do think it's kind of goofy that they put an interim title and then, 6 months later they're going to unify it. But hey, here we are, right? I think that Conor McGregor is the fight for Charles Oliveira. He deserves the Conor McGregor fight. We act like Conor McGregor fights are still a trophy because they are. Millions of people are going to watch. And Charles Oliveira absolutely runs through Conor McGregor. 170, 165, 185, you put wherever. Conor McGregor runs through him. I don't see Charles Oliveira struggling with a Conor McGregor at 36 years old or 38 years old or however Conor McGregor is going to be when they fight. Charles Oliveira destroys Conor McGregor. Benoit Saint-Denis is a really fun fight, though. That's the fun fight. Benoit Saint-Denis obviously lost to Dustin Poirier. He was knocked out by him, and that's great. But he's been on a 3-fight winning streak back. I have high hopes for Benoit Saint-Denis. I like the Paddy Pimblett fight too. Paddy needs a good fight. Benoit's ranked 7. He's on a 4-fight winning streak now. So you got him. You got Paddy Pimblett out there. This is young bloods out there wanting a crack at Charles Oliveira. You got the Arman Tsarukyan rematch. But Benoit just went out there and he knocked out Dariush in less than 30 seconds. He knocked out Dan Hooker. Was that knockout? Punch in the double? Yeah. Knocked out Dan Hooker. Dominated him. There's options for Charles Oliveira. I mean, we don't know what's going to be next, but there are some fun fights. I think the Arman Tsarukyan rematch is the next main event. Fight night in Brazil or BMF title, whatever you got to do to have a 5-round fight between Tsarukyan and Oliveira. That's the real move. As much as I want the Benoit Saint-Denis fight, because I'm just a Benoit Saint-Denis lover, and I think he's one of the more fun fighters, I don't think that's what they're going to go with next. You'll see Benoit versus a Holloway or a... You might. I mean, they're running out of options for him. You might get Benoit versus Arman. Hopefully Benoit Saint-Denis puts away Arman Tsarukyan. That'd be the UFC's dream, right? Borralho did the exact thing Charles Oliveira did. He took an opponent to which everything's a nail to their hammer and forced them to be different. So Borralho's win kind of exemplifies what we were talking about with Max Holloway and Oliveira, right? Because you remember, Charles Oliveira's a well-rounded fighter. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's really good on the feet. He's got really good kicks. The only thing he really kind of ever has historically lacked in was takedowns, and he showed he was great there. But Max Holloway was the hammer. You're going to change how you fight based off of Max Holloway. Borralho dared Reinier de Ridder, another Max Holloway type fighter, in the fact that Reinier de Ridder is going to come, he's going to try and grab you, lean on you, and get you to the ground. He implements his game plan. He doesn't really adjust to what others do, if that makes sense. That's what I mean. I don't think Reinier de Ridder's a striker like Max Holloway at all. No, but they're similar approaches when you talk implementing game plans specifically. Like they don't adjust much. And Borralho, just like Oliveira, well-rounded, great on the ground, really good hands. The fight itself was pretty mid, if we're going to be honest, guys. It was very, very mid, but the story behind this was like, you had the tournament. You had Reinier de Ridder and Brendan Allen. It was supposed to be, de Ridder and somebody else. Oh, Fluffy. It was supposed to be de Ridder. You had that middleweight. De Ridder, Fluffy, and then Borralho and Imavov were supposed to fight whoever Khamzat, wants to fight next. And it looks like it's going to be Strickland over Imavov. But Fluffy fell out. De Ridder fell off that, Brendan Allen fight, 4th fight in a year. But this showed Borralho was much better than the Imavov fight. And maybe we slept on Nasruddin Imavov a little bit much after he got beat by Sean Strickland, but he's beat names like Adesanya, which is no like slouch, even though Adesanya is like past his prime. But regardless, like we're getting off topic here. The Borralho win over Reinier de Ridder really showed us that he is, well, first of all, Reinier de Ridder is in the UFC far too late, but also Cal Borralho's a well-rounded enough fighter to compete with the best. And he may not have competed with Nasruddin Imavov, who was able to kind of negate what Cal Borralho does best. But this here, it was weird because Joe Rogan kept talking about Borralho's hands being down. Like he's never heard of Lyoto Machida before. Like that's very clearly, I thought, was Cal Borralho's inspiration was Machida, the karate blitz stance, hands down. And that's kind of how Cal Borralho fights. And it works so well for him, too. There were several moments in this fight where Borralho would just catch Reinier de Ridder, who already reacts terribly to being punched. Reinier de Ridder hates being punched. Go watch. Every time he's hit clean, he reacts just the absolute worst. But the reaction that he has to these punches, Borralho very clearly was winning the fight because of that. Reinier de Ridder, he's always looking to clinch. His striking's terrible. And the mechanics are horrible, but it serves his purpose. And that's the game plan he always implements. If he can get you to the ground, he's going to be like a wet blanket over you. But what's really, if you can deny him that, and that's what Brendan Allen did after that first round. You remember the short notes, Brendan Allen kind of struggled to keep Reinier de Ridder off of him, and he was very much in danger in the first round, but de Ridder kind of gassed, and Brendan Allen did a good job of just landing on him, grinding him out, and taking his game away from him. So you take his game away, and Reinier de Ridder has no backup. And Borralho showed that. And when it got down to the 3rd round, it was clear Borralho's takedown defense was way too much for what Reinier de Ridder was trying to bring to the table. He was well aware of the judo trips off the fence. He was well aware of the judo trips on the fence. He knows what Reinier de Ridder was coming to do. Now, for the future for Cal Borralho, the in-game's Khamzat Chimaev, and he doesn't really have, a shot at beating Khamzat Chimaev. He still allowed Reinier de Ridder to push him against the fence. And you do that against a Khamzat Chimaev, and you get mauled. You get taken down. De Ridder's takedowns are okay, and they're serviceable for his type of game. But you do that against a Chimaev, and you're done for. You're toast. You're finished. Finito. That's a wrap, right? So, he's 2 fights away from fighting Khamzat Chimaev, probably. You've got to beat a Sean Strickland or Dricus. He called out Dricus, and I like that fight for him. But he don't want that Khamzat smoke. But you can't say, hey, I don't want to watch him fight Khamzat, because Khamzat needs contenders. So you put him against Chimaev eventually. You got to lock him in the cage, because who knows what can happen. A flying knee, or just sparking him at one point in time. That's all it takes is one shot. So you got to book the fight. And everybody that, all the Chimaev fans are like, oh, I don't want to see that. That's not very fun. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You just started watching this sport. No. You've got to book the fights that are presented to them. And the fact that they're going Sean Strickland kind of sucks. But, that's neither here nor there. We can't get into that. That's a topic for another day. But Borralho, I don't think he has anything for Chimaev. But he can bring something to the table that's unique and different. You got to book the fight. Raul Rosas defeated Rob Font, but I think it was more Rob Font fighting bad than Raul Rosas fighting good. Now, look, Raul Rosas, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think he's a really talented, very good grappler, very good fighter. But I think he also lacks the critical skills, and he's young and he can develop these skills to be a fearsome fighter. He's a cardio wrestler. He's another Merab. He's another Umar. Not very fun to watch. Like, Merab was at least made himself entertaining. Raul Rosas is not. He beat Rob Font. The fight was, like I said, more bad on Font than it was Rosas being good. Because you watch the beginning of that first round, you're like, oh, Raul Rosas Jr. is getting picked apart here. But then you continue on to do the fight, and he just starts overextending. He starts, showing his back, standing up, giving him a leg. And if you're going to do that to Rosas, like, what are you doing? That's dumb. That's a horrible idea. He just had nothing for him. My concern with Rosas, he did no damage. Like, he didn't hurt him at all. Font went in looking sweatier than or came out looking sweatier than he went in. That gets people cut. The UFC's in the middle of a war on boring fighters. Mokaev, Jelton Almeida, like all these guys that are boring, they're cutting. They want exciting fights. He won off of control, and it wasn't because control time. It's just Rob Font didn't do enough in the seconds he was standing. He couldn't keep the fight standing long enough, and that really gave Raul Rosas a big leg up, pun intended, because Font basically just handed him his leg. Horrible performance from Rob Font. I was not a fan. Drew Dober sparks Michael Johnson. Sucks. I like Michael Johnson. He's an interesting fighter. He's got really good hands. He's fast, but he's 40. Eventually, Drew Dober caught him and a southpaw, so his right hand trap basically, and he's reaching in kind of at a hook and pulling the hand down, and then boom, right up the middle with his left, knocks him out cold. Gregory Rodriguez knocked out Bruno Ferreira with his very first right hand he threw. He kind of changed the cadence up on the motion and put Bruno Ferreira down. The dude has God-given power, and he looks like Barack Obama, so I enjoy him. Cody Garbrandt and Zhang Lao was nuts. Literally, Zhang Lao kicked him low multiple times. 2-point deductions in one round. Should have been DQ'd if you want to know the truth, but Dante Johnson wins a split decision over Cody Brundage. Alberto Montes defeat Ricky Tercios with a Darce choke. I'm not saying the Azerbaijan, is that where he's from, guy that beat Cody Durden, but he won. Sumerdarji beat Jesus Aguilar. Nurgazane defeated, I don't know how to say his name, guys. He's Eastern European and step guys, I'm not going to say. Then Rodolfo Bellotto defeated Luke Fernandez. So all in all, the night of fights was not good at all. Oliveira's dominance was the most important thing of the night and the most impressive thing of the night. That said, I'm still not sold. I don't think he beats a Topuria. I don't think he ever was going to beat an Islam Makhachev. It's not the type of fight that you bring to fight an Islam Makhachev. So, he's fun. We'll appreciate him while he's around. This performance is nothing short of incredible. No, not the most fan-friendly, sure, but it's nothing short of incredible. So we will praise that, and we will be happy, but also we can be critical.